They tell you not to sit in the last carriage at night. It's one of those unspoken rules, the kind that feels like it was written in the ink of bad experiences. Up above, Tokyo was a sprawling universe of light and sound, forever awake. But down here, in the subterranean veins of the city, the station was different. It was hushed, softened by the sterile glow of fluorescent lights. The platform tiles were polished to a mirror shine, reflecting the empty space around me. A lone vending machine hummed a low rhythmic tune, as if it were patiently counting the seconds until midnight. I heard a distant announcement, a disembodied voice that echoed once and then was swallowed by the silence. The emptiness didn't even bother to return the sound. I boarded the train without a second thought. It was almost a reflex, an action performed on autopilot after a long day. I walked through the interconnecting cars, each one a little emptier than the last, until I found myself in the final carriage. The last one. It was immaculate, brightly lit, and utterly deserted. That profound emptiness felt like a luxury, a silent permission slip to finally let go. I chose a seat by the window, feeling the tension melt from my shoulders as I sank into the vinyl. The low, steady hum of the overhead lights was the only sound, a gentle white noise that coaxed my mind into a state of peace. For a few blissful minutes, everything was normal. The world behaved exactly as it should, and that comforting predictability was enough to make my body stop its constant, vigilant scanning of my surroundings. I was safe. Of course, my phone lost its signal the moment we descended deeper into the earth. The screen became a useless black rectangle, so I slipped it back into my pocket. With the phone gone, the dark window transformed into a mirror, reflecting my own face back at me, a soft focus portrait against the blackness of the tunnel. It was then that I noticed it. I turned my head just a fraction, a tiny, almost imperceptible movement. My reflection followed, but it was late. It was a minuscule delay, just a fraction of a second behind my actual movement. It wasn't like looking at a fractured piece of glass or a distorted funhouse mirror. This was a lag, a temporal hiccup. It was small enough that I could have easily convinced myself I'd imagined it. But it was also just precise enough, just consistent enough, to plant a seed of unease. I had to be sure. I tested it again, a small, deliberate nod this time. The delay remained patient and unwavering. The train plunged into a deeper section of the tunnel, and the lights inside the carriage began to flicker erratically. For a moment, the window flashed like an old television set, struggling to find a signal. When the lights finally stabilized, my reflection did too. But it wasn't alone anymore. Something else had remained behind it, a lingering artifact in the glass. It was a tall outline, standing in the reflection just behind my shoulder, occupying a space where no person could possibly fit in the physical carriage. It was a silhouette, devoid of any features I could describe. It was defined only by its impossible height, its profound stillness, and a shape that just felt fundamentally wrong. My every instinct screamed at me to turn around to confirm what my eyes were seeing, to confront the impossible, but my body, wiser and more primal, refused to make that mistake. It was frozen in place. The train swayed on the tracks. The hanging straps tapped against the metal poles with a hollow rhythm, and the empty seats creaked under the strain of the movement. Everything in the carriage was in motion, a symphony of small, mundane sounds. Everything except the outline in the window. It remained perfectly still, a silent monolith in my peripheral vision. I realized my breathing had slowed down on its own, becoming shallow and deliberate. In the reflection, I could see my own chest rising and falling with each breath. The outline, however, did not breathe. The very air in the carriage seemed to change. It felt narrower, heavier, as if the walls themselves were inching closer, a pressure I could feel on my skin rather than see with my eyes. The gentle hum of the lights dropped in pitch, becoming a lower, heavier drone that vibrated faintly in my teeth instead of my ears. I swallowed hard, the sound loud in the oppressive silence. And in the window, my reflection swallowed too. But again, that chilling delay was there, as if my own biological rhythms were being observed, catalogued, and collected. I blinked, a desperate attempt to reset my vision, to clear the phantom from the glass. But when my eyes opened again, the outline was closer. It hadn't moved forward, but its posture seemed to be aligning more closely with my own, as if it were learning to mimic me. Then, a strange sense of calm began to spread through my mind. It was a smooth, artificial tranquility, a placid wave washing over my rising panic. And with that calm came a thought, an idea that wasn't my own. Stay here. It feels nice. Just stay. The thought was seductive, inviting. Suddenly, the train jolted violently, a screech of metal on metal that shattered the quiet. The lights flashed wildly, and the artificial calm snapped like a taut thread. Breaking, the spell was broken. I moved sharply, a flinch of pure survival instinct, and the pressure in the air vanished instantly. I looked at the window again, and there was nothing but my own reflection, alone and looking exactly as it should. At the very next stop, the doors hissed open, and I scrambled out onto the platform. I walked away fast, my eyes fixed firmly ahead, refusing to look at any reflective surface. Not the train, not the station walls. The last window of the final carriage slid past me and disappeared into the darkness of the tunnel. The next day, I was walking down the street when I passed a shop. I glanced at my reflection in the window, and for just a split second, it hesitated. It was late again, just for a fraction of a second, as if it remembered my timing.